Good morning. I'm wearing the special stole that this congregation, you all gave me when I was installed as your minister. For those of you who don't know me, if you're new here, I'm Reverend Bob Renjilian, use he, him pronouns, minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County. I'm so glad that you are with us here in this congregation. Our mission is to support individual spiritual journeys and to promote social, economic, and environmental justice. We're glad you are with us. I have a few announcements this morning. First off, this is Super Sunday. I can smell in the air the many aromas of the different soups that are out there. You're welcome to stay and join us and sample the soups and have coffee and conversation with us in the coffee hour. I've just been told by Gary that the deadline for the ministry survey is extended through January 6th. We understand that some of you hadn't paid attention and hadn't turned it in, and that's usually a good thing. It usually means you're not highly motivated to complain about the ministry of this congregation. But we will also accept whatever perspectives you have, good ones too, and through January 6th. Thank you. Some of our groups are taking a couple weeks off for the holidays. I know we had slides up saying like the men's group and other things going on, but please remember that because of the holidays, there may be some of the activities that are suspended in the Christmas and New Year's week. Offices are closed between Christmas and New Year's. We'll still check incoming mail for any end-of-year donations, and I'm usually reachable through my phone number for pastoral care. I may not be checking emails quite as frequently, though, during that period, especially because me and Santa have a tradition of putting our feet up on Christmas Day and just kind of sitting around in our robes all day. Yeah. Let's see. This is getting to be the last chance to let me know if you'd like to be a reader in the family service at 4:30 Tuesday. I see one of our readers over here on this side. That's great. And we're going to hopefully have one or two others signing up as part of the service, family service at 4:30. We'll also have the 6:30 candlelight service where we end with Silent Night and the candles. Hope that you'll find one or the other to come to. If you're not coming to it, please remember that the special collection on Christmas Eve is for the minister's discretionary fund, and that helps build our fund. We actually have a whole lot of money in the fund, and I'm worried about that because we all in Western North Carolina just went through an awful mess, and I am finding some people have been reluctant to tell me that they need help with the awful mess. We have ample generosity from this congregation. We also know that we've had an alert from the UUA that they will back us up. If I drain the minister's discretionary fund, they took up a collection for storm relief, and they will help rebuild it. So please don't anyone tell me, well, somebody must need it more than me. We have enough. We really do. I now ask that you turn and greet each other and recognize one another's worth and dignity.
Good morning. I'm Ian Cowie. I'm today's worship leader. Our chalice lighting is written by Eric Hepburn, worship leader of the San Gabriel UU Fellowship in Austin, Texas. Let us read this together. We light this flame to remind us love is in the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains.
Thank you. Ian's helping me with lighting the candles of joy and sorrow. There are a couple of written ones here, and there are some that have been sent to me during the week. Susan writes, I'm feeling lucky that no one was hurt in my car accident, and grateful to Sandy and Bruce, RK, Michael, Betty, Reverend Bob, Lisa, Jackie, Christine, and Super Sister Ann for hugs and help. That accident occurred right outside the church this week. Susan Zelli. From Nancy Richards, she'd like to light a candle of celebration of life of my amazing brother, John. He was wise, generous, and compassionate, and lived a life of service. Please pray for his wife, daughters, and all who grieve his passing. I have from Randall and India a candle of sorrow that their land sale that they'd worked on in Transylvania County fell through. They say, we will continue to try to find some land to start our new life, but so far it's been kind of slow going. So our prayers out to them to have that come through as a joy soon. Here's a candle of joy that our dear friend Patty has passed and hurts no more. It was 7 weeks from her diagnosis. And Loie, our hearts go out to you as well. Judith says a thank you, a candle of thank you to all those who have shared their soups on a Super Sunday in 2024. And we light a candle for all those things that have not been shared, maybe among all those here and those who are online watching. Let's remember to open up our conversations with one another to hear more about what's going on in our lives, the joys and the sorrows and the ways we get to be truly neighbors to one another in all that we do.
Our opening words come from the Reverend Ian Riddell. Reverend Riddell has served as a minister in Las Vegas, San Diego, and now at the UU Church of the Desert in Rancho Mirage, California. Come hoof and trunk and tail and horn, and paw and wing and claw. Come bird and reptile, mammal born, all full of nature's law. Bring bark and crow and rippet too, and silent stare and hiss. Bring purr and trill and warble too, and voice no ear can miss. We gather here each life and all to celebrate and sing, to honor a creature large and small, 'tis holiness we bring. Come, let us worship together.
Never pull it back.
Yep. There we are.
In this season of Advent, we've been lighting each of the candles in this circle, and we will light the last candle today as well. So we started with, and they're in the wrong order. Come on. Hope and peace, and brightened by joy. And then finally, and most clear today, love. I invite you to rise and sing with us as you wish, as you are able, number 231, Angels We Have Heard on High.
Good morning. I'm Kevin, and I'm bringing the words of wisdom. And in this December month, we are practicing the gift of presence, trying to be present and here together for each other, even in the midst of the noise and the busyness and the crowdedness of the year. So for this, we have the story, It Could Be Worse, which is taken from a Jewish folk tale from Poland. And some of you are laughing because you might know it already. Well, many years ago, there lived a family in a small farmhouse in Poland, and they lived happily together, the parents and the kids. One day they got word that the grandparents needed to move in with them because the grandparents were getting older. And so the farmer went to the rabbi, who was very wise, and said, "Rabbi, we love my parents, but our house is small. They're wanting to move in with us. And I think it'll be crowded and noisy." And the rabbi thought, and he said, "Well, you should let them come. It's the right thing to do." So they welcomed the grandparents in and all the grandparents' furniture, and the grandparents were now living in the living room and had their bed there and brought a lot of furniture with them, so it was scattered all about in the house. Later on, the farmer went back to the rabbi and said, "Well, we're glad the parents are here, but it's very crowded and very noisy." Well, the rabbi thought for a minute, and he said, "All right, well, do you have chickens?" "Well, of course we have chickens." "All right, we'll bring them into the house too." Well, the farmer wasn't so sure about this, but the rabbi was very wise. So he brought the chickens in, and now the chickens were in the house, and they're clucking and flapping their wings and going all about, and it was even louder and more crowded in the house. And the farmer went back to the rabbi and then complained about this and said, it's even more crowded now. We don't know what to do with all these chickens everywhere. And the rabbi said, well, now do you have goats? Well, yes, we have goats. Bring them into the house. So the farmer was confused, but he trusted the wise rabbi, and he brought the goats in. Now the goats are baa-baaing in the house, and they're headbutting, and the chickens are flapping about, and they were laying eggs in the grandparents' bed, so the grandparents couldn't sleep there anymore. And it was even worse and more chaotic than ever. So the farmer went back to the rabbi, and he complained and said, this is getting really crazy with the goats and the chickens and the kids and the grandparents, and everything's just too crowded and too noisy. And the rabbi thought for a minute, then said, do you have a cow? Yes, we have one cow. And the farmer said this with some dread, but the rabbi said, bring that into the house. So the farmer dutifully brought the cow into the house, and now things were just chaotic. The mooing and the clucking and the flapping and the baaing and everything going on. And tried to stand it for a day or two, but the farmer had to go back to the rabbi, and he complained about all this, too much noise and too much everything, and goats and cows and chickens and all that. And the rabbi sat quietly and thought about it for a while, and then said, let's take out the goat. The goats go back to the field, take the cow back to the barn, the chickens back to the coop. And then once you've done that, see how it is and come back to me. So the farmer went home very excited, and he got the goats out and the cow out and the chickens out and cleaned up all around the house. And the family thought, wow, this is great. And so the farmer went back to the rabbi and said, this is the most spacious and quiet house I have ever lived in. And the rabbi said, you have learned the lesson. We're in a crowded, busy, noisy season, but let's try to have presence for one another so we can truly practice giving of ourselves amongst it all. And we'd now like to welcome Eli Seafelt up, who is going to light our children's chalice, and then we'll sing them out.
I'm always impressed in the ways in which people respond with their hearts. In the midst of all of the demands on our pocketbooks, people make a sacrifice. They put in a little bit extra. We are ahead in our pledge collections in this year. We have been all along, but we always ask Sunday for more. Not just because it's church, and church always is asking something of you, but because we know this is exercising your heart. And this is the time we do that. Anything you put in that basket helps in every way possible the presence of this congregation in this community and to one another. And in the envelope, the money going to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, which was voted as our special collection of this month. We will now gratefully receive the morning offering. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Gypsy. What's given in love we receive with great joy. And we say, thank you. I invite you to focus on the glowing candles, deep breathing, whether eyes open or closed, entering into this time of meditation and prayer. Spirit of love and life, flow through us and this place. Be present with us, and may we be present to all. On this day in particular, our hearts go out to those who are injured, to those who have had certain trauma happen to them. In particular, Susan Zelli in her car accident, but also the joy for all those who respond and embrace and support us during those traumas. Spirit of love and life, we have joy for those we know, whose love and connection we have felt. And now as we reflect on their lives and their place in our lives, we know that joy and love has carved deep into our hearts. And that may be canyons of grief and despair. But we know that they are released from pain. And so on this day in particular, we are thinking of Patty, and we are thinking of John, and our hearts go out to the friends and the families whose memories are now foremost in their minds. Spirit of love and life, we are glad to have among us those who have migrated to Western North Carolina to be here and who have found their ways into these doors. And we know finding housing in this area is a particular hardship. It's a hardship at many different economic levels. For while we live in the beauty of state and national forests and among farms, we know there is very little space for more of us. Our hearts go out to those who have had home sales fall through, in particular Randall and India on this day. But we remember as well, especially at Christmas time, and the story of an expectant mother and her fiancé wandering and trying to find room at the inn, that there are many in this world who are migrants and trying to find a place to put down roots. Spirit of love and life, we hold these, the thoughts of our minds, the prayers of our hearts, in the silence. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, blessed be, amen.
I just told the choir no more coughing, but they insist. We're going to sing a song for you this morning. It's titled, I Wish You Christmas. Words and music by John Rutter, a famous British composer, director, and man about town. And I think there's something in that. It's not, I wish you a Merry Christmas, because Mary always pulls it down. Well, what else could it be? It's I wish you Christmas. And the the things that we wish for you include music and song and joy in your heart. And this is what we, the choir, Carlene and I, wish for you is we wish you Christmas.
Wish you starlight on fields of snow, the winter's morning light and evening's glow. I wish you candles that shine from every tree, so all the world can see the light that there could be. I wish you music, I wish you song, voices echoing, joyous and strong. I wish you church bells ringing true and clear. I wish you Christmas, a Merry Christmas, a Merry Christmas to remember all the year. happiness and cheer. I wish you Christmas, a Merry Christmas, and may His joy and peace be with you through the I wish you music, I wish you song, I wish you harmony your whole life long, the warmth of memories that long remain. I wish you Christmas, a Merry Christmas. And may God bless you till we all shall meet
The reading I have for you today is from the biblical stories of the birth of Jesus. Now, there are two mentions of this, and not all of the Gospels have Jesus' birth in it. So when we get to Christmas Eve, we usually borrow a little bit from Matthew and a lot from Luke, and we tell the story. And if you're used to coming, especially at the early service, the family service, the multi-generational service, it's what they call lessons and carols. It's the reading, and then if we're singing, we say something about angels, then we sing angels we've heard on high. And if it's like about the wise men, well, then we sing We Three Kings from Orient Are, and then, it goes all through it. Well, here it is, both from Matthew 1:18 to 2:23, and then Luke, and I'll read both of these versions to you. Now, the birth of Jesus Christ took place this way. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with a child from the Holy Spirit, and her husband Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, resolved to divorce her quietly. But as he considered these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. And all this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin will conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Joseph awoke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but he knew her not until she had given birth to a son, and he called his name Jesus. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him. And when Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where Christ was to be born, and they told him, In Bethlehem of Judea, For so it is written by the prophet, and you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly, ascertained from them what time the star had appeared, and he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him. And after listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, a star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. Now we got Luke. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, to the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. And he went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. And while they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in clothes and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for them. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone all around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in clothes and lying in a manger. And suddenly a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to all those on whom his favor rests. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about. So they hurried off, and they found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they'd seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. So I'm preaching this sermon for fun. And Ian Cowie helped me find lots of facts to be fun with this sermon. Thank you, Ian. And so we are going to talk about who's in the manger. Did you catch it in the reading? Who was in the manger? Who was in the manger? In one account, the shepherds appear and they see Mary and Jesus. In another account, the wise travelers appear and they see Joseph and Mary and a baby. What's missing here? What does the rabbi say is missing from this little manger scene? Chickens. There are no chickens mentioned anywhere in the Bible. A donkey. Wait, isn't there some story that Mary came in on a donkey? There's no donkey. Nobody said there's a donkey. Okay. An ox. Whatever else. Now, popular, a cow, goats. I mean, we're talking about the major thing of this season. And every churchyard, well, not ours, but every churchyard has some kind of manger scene out front. And you see all sorts of people crowded around in this little manger. And animals, too. You know, it's interesting. Ian was watching PBS NewsHour and Brooks and Capehart, and it was, Jeff Bennett says, well, this is the final Brooks and Capehart before the holidays. This was last Friday. And it's been quite a year, gentlemen. So much tumult in the world, so much uncertainty and churn and change. But I want to ask you the one thing that you find yourself most grateful for. And David, I'll start with you. And David Brooks says, yeah, I'm in New York right now, and I'm a few blocks away from the Christmas tree. And this holiday season it's a time that's more alive. And we remember this as kids. We were just more alive. And there was a 2nd century Christian saint named Saint Irenaeus? I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the way he pronounced it. Irenaeus. And he said, the glory of God is in a human being fully alive. So you walk over to the tree up 5th Avenue here, and you watch the children with the glory in their eyes, and you can't help to think that this is a special, magical season. And if you're not a believer, if you are a believer, those of us who are believers, it's a season when the Lord is more present in the world just because the radical reality of God coming down and being born in a manger that smells like dung, that's just magical. And so you see it right here on the streets, right all around me. The Bible does not say the manger smells like dung. We're filling stuff in here. We're filling this in. It doesn't say that. All right. Where did the animals come from? All right, I had to do some research on this. According to Bonaventure, Wikipedia told me this, and Wikipedia's got enough eyes on it to be corrected if it's not quite right. Francis, this is St. Francis, in 1223 sought permission from Pope Honorius III to do something for the kindling of devotion to the birth of Christ. As a part of his preparations, Francis made ready a manger and bade hay together with an ox and an ass in the small Italian town of Greccio. And one witness among the crowd gathered for this event reported that Francis included a carved doll which cried tears of joy and seemed to be awakened from sleep when the Blessed Father Francis embraced him in both arms. The miracle of the crying doll moved all who were present, Bonaventure writes, but Francis made another miracle happen too. The hay that the child lay in healed sick animals and protected people from disease. So now we always have hay and at least an ox and a donkey in there. All right? It wasn't in the story until somebody decided to put it in. Now, we have some other cultural things that come up. What else is in that manger? Angels, right? You always see angels. Did you hear anything about angels being in the manger in the Bible? No, Reverend Bob, we didn't. You read the story, the true biblical story. And there were no angels except in the dreams or appearing to shepherds way out with their flocks in the field. Why are there always angels shown with a crush? Because we kind of like them. They're part of the story. It would be really weird to have in the front of the church a creche with Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, and maybe some shepherds, and maybe some wise travelers, but the angels are out in a backyard by the parking lot. It just doesn't look right, okay? So when you go in to see a creche and you think about that, it's like, oh, there are angels and animals, and they weren't in the Bible. And our minister wore his robe and told us so. Let's see. Let me get another one here. Oh, I learned all about the fact that it's really hard to rent a camel if you're doing a live nativity. So instead, people rent llamas, and they put a hump on it. It's true. We read it right here. They do that in Texas. Here's another story, and I thought this was a lot of fun that Ian had dug up. I knew some of this stuff, but this is this particular. Tama County, Iowa, population 1,700. The holiday season controversy returned, this story says. A local church is striking back with its new nativity scene. Because, see, they have two nativity scenes. One at the fire department, which has been allowed to occur only if it's altered to now include Santa and his reindeer, so that it complies with last year's constitutional concerns regarding religious displays on public land. And the other is a private nativity scene that includes a depiction of King Herod. And on a social media posting, the church points out every nativity ought to have a Herod to remind us Christians that still today there's an enemy out there whose real goal is to kill and destroy Jesus. Okay, thank you for finding that, Ian. But really, I have heard that at some place, and I don't know if it's actually in the Supreme Court minutes, but there's something like a 3 reindeer rule. So you can have what looks like a religious display on public land as long as it has at least 3 reindeer, because that makes it secular. Okay? All right, so now you have a manger with animals that weren't in the Bible and angels that weren't in the Bible and the wise travelers. How many wise men were there? Did I read that in this Bible? Did I say there were 3? Exactly, Louis got it. The only reason why we think there were 3 was because there were 3 gifts. So if there were 3 gifts, there had to be 3 gift givers. But there's a joke out there about a 4th wise man who just kind of signed his name to somebody else's card. When we do the kind of come up pageant, same day up, put on your fancy clothes or your animal stuff or whatever. When we do that at the family service, Christmas Eve, and anybody can come up and sit up front here, we can have as many Josephs as we want. We can have as many wise travelers as we want. We say that in a non-gendered way. And you can be stars. You can be a star. Isn't that wonderful? You can show up on Sunday and be a star. Actually show up on Tuesday night and be a star. And wear, I think, a headdress with stars on it. So, ooh. All right. We took a little deviation from my script there, but it was fun. So I've been singing different concerts with the 2 choruses I'm in up in Asheville. And the Gay Men's Chorus, which was originally going to do a drag rendition of Dickens' Christmas Carol, decided that was a little too bold coming out of the storm, and instead that what everybody needed was a theme of comfort and joy. And so they sang all sorts of comfort and joy Christmas songs and promised everybody, next year you get the drag version of Dickens' Christmas Carol. But one of the songs we sang was Pas de Pain, which was in a Burgundian dialect, a French Christmas carol, later adapted into English, and it was written 1641 to 1728, and first published in 1720. Its original title is, I'm not going to read it, but it's pretty much Willie, Bring Your Little Drum, or Willie, Take Your Little Drum. And it revolves around the birth of Jesus, told from the perspective of shepherds playing simple instruments, flutes or fifes and drums. And so patapan is the drumming part, and turaluralu is the flute part or the fife part. That inspired the 1941 carol, The Little Drummer Boy. So now we have a drummer boy, and if you're French, somebody playing the fife as well, announcing because the song says, and when you hear the fife and drum, you know that Jesus is born. Except it says it in French. Now we have a drummer in there. I don't usually see that in creches, but might as well. How many of you have watched the movie Love Actually? Yeah, now I'm going to get a slide on the screen for Love Actually. Do you have that slide that I sent you and asked you to put up there? Oh, you need to see this. Because I sent this up so we could have it up there. But those of you, just pause during the movie at the part at which the children's production, the school production is going on about the birth of Jesus. And they had to have enough parts for every single child. And so the little girl comes home and says, Mom, I got a part in the pageant. And Mom says, oh, wonderful. Which part do you have? And she said, I'm first lobster. And Mother says, there was more than one lobster present at the birth of our Savior? And the little girl says, well, duh. And so in the picture that I would have shown you, it shows a manger scene with all the characters that generally show up, even though they shouldn't, in the manger, and next to them 3 bright lobsters and a spouting whale. I think I saw a dog in the background too. You know, so everybody had a part. Now, do you know the song, Come All Ye Faithful? Oh, come on, let's do it. Oh, come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. And sing choir of angels and all of that stuff. And you also have the hymns that say, let us all come to Bethlehem. Let all the faithful be there. If you listen to some of our Christmas songs that we sing again and again and again, we now have everybody. We're going to get in a TARDIS, and we're going to go back in time, if you know that cultural reference. If you don't, time travel back. Every time we sing it, let's all come to Bethlehem and show up and come and adore him. Now, we got the creche scene and everybody. Every single person showing up. Now, that's okay, because we do here agree with that. And on Tuesday night, all come. Everybody come. Be in the room. And right here, we will have Joseph and Mary and the little Jewish baby, Jesus, and all of you who show up. Who's there? Who's present in the manger? In this season, we're asking that everyone's there. I have not lined up a drummer and a fife. I have, however, hoped that we'll have enough people to make it look like it's crowded as the Jewish rabbi knew it would feel if you keep inviting in all the chickens and the goats and the cow and everybody. I hope that when we think of Christmas time and this whole story, we listen to the Bible story and then we say, yeah, but we added in an ox and a donkey. And we added in a drummer and a fife. We added in angels. And we added in as many wise travelers as possible. And somebody out there wants to have Herod standing there too, just to remind us how scary Herod is in the story. We want to have all of us in our hearts present there too. thank you for sitting through this largely irreverent and not so biblical Christmas retelling. Thank you. Now we will end our service with a lovely little tune you may recognize if you've come to the early service in the last few years. It's number 229, Gather Round the Manger. In the softness, and the quiet, and the wonder, may you go out into this holiday week. May you carry with you a bit of love and joy and peace and hope into a world that so desperately needs it. May you carry in you, no matter what your religious path, something of joy and wonder, as if a child's joy and wonder, of the many ways in which life among us springs up with such possibility. Live out the best of what you have been taught in your religious path. Bring it and share it with others. And then return again here with joy and love for this community. Though I extinguish this chalice, its meaning and its hope for all of us remains carried in our hearts. Blessings on all of you.